Then I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against. We've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot.
All right, that was just ahead of the South Carolina primary. He was talking to a conservative black group on Friday night. The left immediately branded Trump a racist for those comments.
So you think he's Biggie Smalls? What we just heard is so unbelievably racist, but also problematic for a democracy.
This is about the future. And what Donald Trump said was racist tropes. And it's insulting and demeaning to basically go to black people and say, oh, don't you like the fact that I have 91 convictions? Don't you want to see this mug shot?
So he's running on racism and revenge. Is that a winning platform, or have most people started to get numb to what's coming out of his mouth?
Craig Scott might have a different view. He got convicted of bank robbery during his time as a black militant in the 1990s. Last year wrote a Newsweek op-ed about his support for Donald Trump. Craig, there it is. Trump released me from prison under the First Step Act. He has even more street cred. Now, I can't figure it out. When you heard everyone calling Trump a racist for saying that, what was your response?
Well, my first observation is those individuals who were having a problem with Trump talking about his mugshots and things of that sort, they belong to a class of black Americans who have become totally tone deaf to what's been going on with those of us on the bottom, the working class, those of us who are justice impacted. They just have an entirely different perspective with regard to life and with regard to what's important. So that's why they don't get it, to be simple, to be plain.
You think about President Biden's precipitous drop among African Americans, especially African American men. Places like Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, that could be the election. One of the things that I hear about when I talk to African American men is the idea of, what has Joe Biden done for me? I think you sort of alluded to this, that he's forgotten about me. President Trump, pardon me, was the one who brought the First Step Act into law, signed it, changed your life. Does that play into people who are not just those who've been released from prison because of President Trump?
All of those things are major factors. Of course, for me personally, but also you have to understand the number of people whom he aided with that act. Trump is winning our vote, black men's vote, because it's not just about the justice system. It's also about issues that we normally wouldn't be associated with or seem to be concerned with, like this open border issue. We are very much aware of how this is ill affecting us, how it's going to affect our employment, our opportunities. I'm currently working with an organization now trying to push back on some of the ideas that Joe Biden has about allowing these same illegal immigrants to vote. We see all of that as a threat to our community, and we see Donald Trump being the one to address it.
Give me 1 second, and I hear you in terms of the economic issues and the border issues. David Axelrod, who knows a thing or two about motivating the black vote, especially among African-American men, is David Axelrod, formerly of the Obama campaign. Take a listen.
I think it should. Look, he's polling, 21% among African-American voters here. Biden got 88% of that vote back in 2020, and this is going to be a marginal race. So this is a concern. And yes, black men, and particularly younger black men, are the ones that are drifting away. Some may vote for Trump, some may not vote at all. And this has to be a concern for the Biden campaign. Trump knows that.
All right. The response from Democrats are going to be, Donald Trump's racist. He may have a mugshot, but that's because he wants to destroy democracy, on and on and on. Right. Is there anything that you're seeing in the African-American community that President Biden can do to win that support back?
The damage is already done. You can't practically aid in destroying an entire community and disenfranchising Black men in particular, and then turn around in an election year and say you're going to repair it. He's done the damage.
Right.
He's shown us that he's really not concerned with us. Oh. And Donald Trump has shown that he is concerned with us. I love that speech that he gave at BCF. He went into a whole lot of details about what he's going to do for the Black American vote. And we have good reason to believe that he's going to fulfill it because of how he performed with regard to our community in his previous administration.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.